Catalog System Deep Dive is part of our Deep Dive series on Sitecore Experience Commerce. In this video, I'll explain the architecture and object model of the Commerce Catalog and Inventory System, show how to use the Commerce business tools, and show the result in action in the content editor. In Experience Commerce, the core item is a catalog. Think of catalogs in Experience Commerce as you would catalogs in the real world. They're collections of products and supporting information that are used to organize the items you want to sell. You might use one catalog, multiple catalogs, or different catalogs at different times of year, depending on your business. Say US Fall Catalog, UK Spring Catalog, and so on. Categories are used to structure your catalog. They live within the scope of a catalog. You'll hear me use the term sellable item, sometimes product. The reason we use the term sellable item is meant to convey that you can sell more than physical goods. Physical products, services, digital products, subscriptions can all be modeled by Experience Commerce. Sellable items can exist in multiple catalogs just as they would in the real world. Say if you're running a camping supply shop, you could associate the same tent to the spring and summer catalogs. So let's talk about the catalog in a bit more detail. For Experience Commerce 9, we've simplified its schema. The pricing and promotion functionality that you're familiar with from Sitecore Commerce 8.2.1 is still there. You can associate price books and promotion books to a catalog. That means that although you can set list pricing on the sellable items and their variants, you can also override that with richer pricing rules from the Experience Commerce pricing system. Same goes for promotions. You can manage your promotions in a reusable set called a promotion book, and then associate that to catalogs. Say, create a Christmas promotion set, and then reassociate that every holiday season as a starting point. Currencies are no longer managed at the catalog level as they were in previous versions of Sitecore's Commerce product. You now configure currencies at the shop level, and that flows down to the catalogs and pricing features. In Experience Commerce 9, sellable items are based on a generalized schema from schema.org. This is a schema used by over 1 million sites. It enables things like direct mappings to markup for Google product search and other integrations. And this schema can be changed via the plugin extensibility model in Experience Commerce. Sellable items can also have variations called variants. Variants have the same properties as a sellable item, unlike the product family variant model in the previous version of the product. You can flag properties by which items vary. So common variation properties would be size and color, and then your site can programmatically use that information to build the add to cart control or other controls on the page. Let's take a look at types of associations we can create using the Experience Commerce tools or the Experience Commerce API. Here we have 3 catalogs with a couple of categories each and 3 sellable items. Sellable item 1 has 2 variants. Sellable item 2 doesn't have any variants and is just a straight sellable item. And sellable item 3 currently only has a single variant. First, let's associate a couple of sellable items to catalog 1. We'll associate 2 items to the second catalog, including one of the same sellable items as the first catalog. And for the third catalog, we'll associate the second sellable item and the third. So this illustrates that you can reuse sellable items across catalogs and that you can associate sellable items that have variants or sellable items that do not have variants. In Experience Commerce 9, we have a new concept called inventory sets. The idea behind an inventory set is that it can be used to represent inventory in multiple locations. In this example, we have inventory for a website as well as 2 Washington, D.C. metro area stores, but you could use inventory sets for multiple websites, multiple distribution centers, allocations to third parties, or even for things like shipments and cross-docking. You can use associations between inventory information and sellable items, much like how you can create associations between catalogs and sellable items. So let's consider a scenario. We have inventory for variants of sellable item 1 for the .com site. We have inventory for a single variant of sellable item 1 and inventory for sellable item 2 for the store in the 22202 zip code. And we have inventory for sellable item 2 and variant 1 of sellable item 3 for the store in the 20001 zip code. Now let's ignore the inventory for everything but variant 1 of sellable item 1. Using the Commerce Business Tools or the Experience Commerce API, you can transfer inventory from the .com site to, in this case, the 22202 store if you want to move inventory in order to sell it in the real world. The same could be used if you wanted to transfer inventory from one distribution center to another, or if you wanted to transfer inventory on paper from your distribution center to a particular allocation that does not do real-time checking against your inventory system. So let's take a look at some of this in action. One thing you'll immediately notice different from the previous release is that now there is a commerce section on the Launchpad that has a single application. Previously, we had Customer and Order Manager, Pricing Promotion Manager, and Merchandising Manager. We've merged that functionality together into a new single Business Tools application. So let's open that application. See, it opens in another tab, and it's again the same common speak, look, and feel. You're immediately presented with a dashboard that shows you the different sub-functionality. So merchandising, inventory, pricing, promotions functionality from the previous application, the orders and customer functionality from the previous customer and order application, and then a new section for relationship definitions, which we'll get into. You'll see also the Commerce Engine environment is available on the dashboard and on any other page, so you can switch between environments. You can use environments how you wish. Often they're used for geographical distinctions, or maybe different configuration, different policies by environment. And also you can switch the presented language. So if you have multilingual data in your catalog, for instance, or multilingual data elsewhere in the application, you can change the presented language here. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go into merchandising. Okay, so this is a fairly typical entity view within the new Commerce Business Tools. You can see we have the left nav that allows you to jump to the different areas within the application. And then there's modules in the main page. So usually there's a high-level module that can give you some KPIs of what you're looking at. In the case of merchandising right now, it's empty. In orders, for instance, it has data, and you can extend the application to add data there. So you could add things like, number of products, maybe information about inventory, or what have you. Below that, we have search that goes through the Commerce Engine and then can be backed into either Solar or Azure Search. And then below that, we have, in this case, the catalogs module, which is a list view of all the available catalogs in the system. In this case, or for catalogs, we have name, display name, and then some additional information, some associations to the catalog, so price book, promotion book, and the default inventory set. Following the same speak action model, we have the action control. In this case, there's a single action for add catalog. So let's go ahead and add a catalog. So we'll say catalog 1. Catalog 1. And we'll save. Okay, and you can see a little success message shows on the screen for a few seconds. If some sort of error had occurred or some issue had popped up, then that would be red and it would persist so that you could read the error message. So by default, a catalog does not have pricing books or promotion books and whatnot. We can add those later. So we'll go into catalog 1 just to show the detailed view of a catalog. Now that we've dug down deeper into the hierarchy, our left nav has vanished, and we have a summary of the entity. Usually, this is high-level information like the type, the Commerce Engine ID, and then other information you might want to know like display name and name. There's usually a details module. In this case, this is what we saw on the previous list view, and the details module also has actions. So we can do things like change the display name, and we can also choose to localize a property, in which case display name here is the only property that's localizable in this set. But then we can go and add the translation, say if you know the language or if you're copying and pasting from an email or an Excel document or something. Then there's 2 sub-modules for categories and sellable items. Let's just put some sellable items directly under the catalog, and we'll use the add action here, and we'll do sellable item 1. Oh, help if I can type. Okay, you can see that executed. And let's create another sellable item. Okay. Good. So let's drill down into a sellable item. And again, much like we saw on the catalog view, summary, details, but now we have some different modules. Pricing. So this allows you to associate a price card. But then there's also a list price module that allows you to put list prices directly on sellable items. So in this case, I'll say USD, it's $22. And we'll also add Canadian, since that's a currency we have configured. And the Canadian values are usually a bit higher, so we'll say $30. Okay. So there's other modules here we'll briefly talk about as part of the default schema. So, whether or not there's warranties associated with it, product relationships, inventory sets, specifications, images, of course, identifiers. So if you are using different identifiers, SKU or GTINs, whatever, ISBNs, if you have additional information like that. But what we're really interested in for this product or this sellable item is variations. So I'm going to go into variants, and I'm going to create a variant. Good, I created, and we'll go create a second variant. Good. Okay, so now we've got two variants, and let's drill down into a variant, and you'll see that it's identical to the sellable item. So we could change the pricing at the variant level. So if you have a special variation that proceeds go to charity and the price is a bit higher, or a more desirable color that has a higher price or something, you could change the price at the variant level as well as the other information. Okay, so that's pretty good. We've got variants, we've set list price, and we can just use the browser back button to back up a few, show that that works. We haven't broken that. I went back one too far though. And let's create a second catalog. Good. And we'll go into catalog 2. And we'll create a third sellable item. Oh. Okay. Very good. Now the other thing we can demo here is using the item picker to associate an existing sellable item. So in this case, what we want to do is pick a sellable item from catalog 1 and add it to catalog 2. So on the sellable item module, we'll use the associate sellable item to catalog action, and we'll use the item picker to pick one of the other sellable items, let's say sellable item 1, and resolve that to the catalog. Okay, so let's jump back to the dashboard. We'll go into inventory, and let's start creating some inventory catalogs to correspond to the catalogs we just created. So I'm going to say website inventory. Good. And let's create inventory for a specific store as well. Okay, so now we have two inventory catalogs, and we'll go into the website inventory. We can associate to a catalog. So we'll choose catalog 1 because that was the catalog we intended for the website. And we can also add sellable items. Now you can see by default that this action control is collapsed. That's using the normal speak action control. So we expand that and choose associate sellable item. The same sort of picker is here. So we'll say sellable item 1. Actually, let's do that differently. We'll say sellable item 1, variant 1. And we'll put 50 in stock. You can see on the inventory information page, we have additional information. We can set pre-order and back-order dates, pre-order, back-order limits. You can also set the invoice unit price. So you can say this is the price at which these things came into inventory. That data might be useful in the future when building promotions, for instance, to make sure you don't go into the negative if you don't want to be running a loss leader and whatnot. But right now, we're just going to create 50 SKUs, put 50 items into inventory for variant 1 of sellable item 1. Good. Okay. We have our summary there. And let's associate a second sellable item. So we might as well use variant 2. We'll say we only have 25 of those. And say sellable item 3. Yeah, sure, whatever, sellable item 3. And we'll put 75 of them. Okay, very good. So let's take a look at some of the other actions we have here. We have disassociate sellable item from inventory set. So if you wanted to remove the sellable item from a given inventory set, you can do an edit. So this would be if you wanted to go in and change the quantity or change any of this other information. But then the most interesting action, at least for me, is transfer inventory. So in this case, it acts on the selected item. So I have variant 1 of sellable item 1 selected, and I can target a different set. So in this case, I want to target Arlington, and I want to transfer 25 of those from the website to the physical store. So I can do that. And you can see that succeeded. The on-hand quantity here in this inventory set has decremented. And then if we go back and go into the Arlington inventory set, you'll now see that we have inventory for variant 1 of sellable item 1 in the number of 25. So hopefully that gives you a good overview of how the tools work from the perspective of merchandising and inventory. There's one other thing I should show you in the tools related to the new catalog system. And let's just jump back to the Launchpad, and we'll go into relationship definitions. So in the previous application, in the previous commerce offerings from Sitecore, the relationships could be defined as an arbitrary string or a magic string in the catalog. And that was great for the sake of flexibility, but it often led to people making typos. So, cross-sell with 2 capital letters versus 1 capital letter, or, variations like that that could lead to errors. So what we've done with the new system is we've created the ability to define relationship definitions that include some out-of-the-box relationship definitions. So say we go into sellable item, and you can see, we have warranty, training, related, installation, and we can also create a new relationship type. So I'm just going to call it sample. Okay, and we can point it at sellable item, and we'll say render list automatically, and go. Okay, so we have a new relationship definition, sample, showing up in the list. Let's jump back. We'll go into merchandising, catalog 1, sellable item 1, and let's scroll down through our modules. And we now have sample relationship. So we can use the picker once again to create instances of the sample relationship. Okay, so that is the relationship definitions portion and the overview of the new Commerce Business Tools in the context of catalog and inventory. I hope that's been helpful. Thanks. Bye.